Did Kathy pay the price for betraying our marriage? My name is Ted. I'm a 52-year-old man living in New York. Not long ago, I finalized my divorce from my wife, Kathy, who was 47 when we split. We'd been together for 2 decades and had a 19-year-old son, Ron, who was away studying in another city. I own a small business that's done well enough to give us a comfortable life. Kathy and I first crossed paths in a bar in New York City about 25 years ago. It was a random Friday night out with friends when I spotted her from across the room. There was something magnetic about her presence that pulled me in, and I decided to introduce myself. We clicked instantly. We spent hours talking that night. I was hooked by her sharp mind, quick humor, and zest for life. She radiated energy and passion. It didn't take long before we started dating. And as time went on, our bond only grew stronger. After a few years together, I asked her to marry me under a grand oak tree in Central Park. She said yes. We held a small, heartfelt wedding surrounded by close friends and family. With my business thriving, money was never a problem. I gave Kathy a good life. She had everything she could ask for. But many of Kathy's friends were married to wealthy men who pampered them with lavish lifestyles. Eventually, several of those marriages fell apart, and the women walked away with hefty alimony checks. I warned Kathy more than once to be wary of those so-called friends. I never liked them. I especially resented the times I had to pick her up from their wild parties. A few of those women even tried flirting with me. Though I kept that to myself, never wanted to make a big deal out of it. Whenever I brought up my concerns, Kathy would insist her friends had no sway over her feelings for me or our family. I believed her, and life carried on. Then came Kathy's 45th birthday. She wanted to celebrate with her friends. I had hoped to spend evening with her, but she claimed one of her friends was moving away and insisted on going out. Against my better judgment, I agreed and ended up spending the night alone with a bottle of Jack Daniels. Kathy was heavy on Instagram and TikTok, constantly sharing updates. Her birthday party was no exception. It was live-streamed, and what I saw left me sick to my stomach. Her friends had brought a cake shaped like a male organ, complete with some indecent decorations. Kathy not only laughed about it, but also took a bite in front of everyone while her friends clapped and danced. As if that wasn't enough, they ended up at a male strip club later that night. When she got home, I confronted her. I told her flat out that her behavior was shameful, not fitting for a married woman with a teenage son who could see everything she posted online. I asked about the strip club. She claimed it had been a surprise from her friends. I shot back that the so-called surprise ended the moment she chose to walk into a place like that. I made it clear how deeply disappointed I was, and that her actions crossed every boundary I believed in as a husband. Kathy broke down in tears. I left her alone that night and refused to share our bed. The next morning, she ignored me and went off to the gym. The tension between us hung heavy and only got worse with time. 2 weeks later, I asked if she was still upset about our argument. That's when she snapped back, accusing me of being jealous. She said I had no friends of my own and could never host parties like hers. I was floored. I reminded her that I didn't need to party at strip clubs because I had a wife, and that I found her behavior disgusting. With that, I walked out and headed to work. Things didn't exactly get better afterward, though we did start speaking again. Kathy threw herself even deeper into TikTok, and her daily vlog started gaining traction. I stopped watching her content altogether and focused on my own life. On my birthday, I spent the day with Ron. Kathy was there too, at least in body, but her attention was glued to her phone, chatting with her followers. Even Ron noticed. He asked what was wrong with her. I brushed it off, joking that she caught some kind of social media fever. We both laughed, but deep down I was boiling. On the drive home, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I pulled over on the side of the highway and asked Kathy to step out of the car. I was furious, but kept myself from yelling. She stepped out and immediately began filming the view for a live stream. That was it. I grabbed her phone, stopped the broadcast, and told her in no uncertain terms that when she's with family, she needs to be with family, not her online audience. I told her straight. Our family deserve her focus and presence, not an endless obsession with her phone's camera. She stood there, silent, then got back into the car, refusing to say a word. A year slipped by. Her birthday rolled around again. At midnight, I wished her and gave her a gold bracelet adorned with diamonds. She gave me a kiss, and within minutes, dressed up and left with her friends. I was livid. When she came back, I couldn't hold it in. I asked if I even mattered to her anymore. She was drunk, so I didn't expect anything sensible from her. The next morning, I tried again. I suggested we go to marriage counseling, because I felt sure we wouldn't survive much longer if we didn't fix what was falling apart. She grabbed her juice and dashed off to the gym like I hadn't said a thing. I stayed home that day, determined we'd have the talk we needed. When she eventually returned, with her friends in tow, I called her into the bedroom. It felt awkward with her friends watching, but I wasn't going to wait any longer. I asked her plainly, what did she want? Was she even willing to fight for our marriage? Kathy sat down and calmly admitted she'd been thinking about leaving me for 2 years. She said she felt like it was time to start fresh with her life. I was furious. I told her the women she called friends were nothing but bitter, lonely gold diggers chasing wealthy men. I warned her the real world wasn't the fantasy life her friends portrayed. It was full of people waiting to use and discard her. She screamed back, so what? I want to live my life. I'm not coming back begging for your pity. I said, if you do, you'll find nothing but predators waiting to tear apart what's left of you. Her response? So be it. At least I'll be content. The room fell silent. We said no more that day. The following day, Kathy uploaded a video declaring she'd been planning her divorce for 2 years and was finally doing it. I'm just being honest, she said. I'm tired. I want a divorce. I've tried changing my life so many times. I'm a little scared, but I'm moving forward, and reality's about to hit. She started calling me repeatedly. When I finally picked up, she said she just missed talking to me. I gave her one last chance. I asked if she wanted to rethink her decision. I warned her that once those papers were filed, there'd be no going back. She hung up. A few weeks later, we were officially divorced. Kathy moved out. We never even said goodbye. Ron took it hard, but he admitted he'd seen it coming for a long time. The day after our divorce, Kathy posted again, I'm doing okay. A week ago, I couldn't see any light. Now, tiny specks of it shine through like pinholes in foil. Not enough to see clearly, but enough to know there's light ahead. Even on the worst days, I go to bed knowing I'm getting closer. Someday I'll look back and say, I didn't freeze. I moved on. I'm strong. I've got this. Good luck poking your holes. A few days later, she went at it again. Do your research. More women are waking up and realizing they don't need men. I'm done with abuse and betrayal. I don't even need a man to have a child. That doesn't mean I hate men, but I don't have to settle. Then she showed off a new guy, a sculpted 20-something with a six-pack and a model's body. I thought, well, that's one way to spend my money. I left for work, fully expecting this wouldn't last. Sure enough, the next day, there was a video of Kathy crying. She claimed she'd broken up with him. I knew better. A mutual friend told me he dumped her, and she was too embarrassed to admit it. It wasn't long before she was seen dining with yet another young guy. I happened to be at the same restaurant for a meeting. Once it wrapped up, I left quickly. She didn't see me. Watching her with some random man didn't even sting. I felt nothing. Later, a friend sent me a video titled 40 and Naughty. There was Kathy dancing in lingerie at some private party, even stripping her top off while her so-called friends cheered her on. I blocked the friend. Not long after, Kathy popped up on TikTok, this time by a pool in a bikini, flaunting herself with a caption. This is what 47 looks like. A new low. She even shared her Tinder profile. I clicked the link. There she was, almost naked, with barely enough fabric to cover what mattered. Another video showed her with yet another young guy. He clearly hated being on camera. He yanked his hoodie up to avoid being seen. It was obvious he wasn't sticking around. Then came her next post. I made my choice. Do I regret it? Maybe, maybe not. Was it messy? Yeah, but I guess it wasn't that bad. Actually, my marriage wasn't bad. It was fine. My husband loved me, and I blew it. I'm a mess. Ted warned me, and I didn't listen. I just want my old life back. I lost my husband. My friends disappeared. I want my family again. I thought you were warned. You didn't listen. Now that Chad and Ty are done using you, you want back in? Nope. I don't do second chances. I don't settle for leftovers. One day, Kathy showed up at my office. She said she wanted to come home. I laughed. Home? There's no home. I sold our house. Paid for your fancy Nirvana pad. Remember? You wanted your space. Now you've got it. She asked if she could move in with me. I smiled. I share my bed with a loyal St. Bernard now. He's not fond of strangers. I'm not a stranger, she said. Yes, Kathy. To him, and to me, you are. And there's no place for you here. I told her, I'm not Will Smith, and you're sure as hell not Jada. If my wife picks someone else, that's the end. I don't sit around sulking. I move on. Kathy left in tears. I went home to my dog, my peace. Days later, another post from Kathy popped up. She poured her heart out about how the world wasn't what she thought and how hard it is for a woman her age to find love again. I shook my head. I warned you, Kathy. At 47, you don't start over in the dating game. Fruit is best when ripe. Wait too long, it spoils. Life gives us lessons. You ignored them. You had it all, and you gambled it away for cheap thrills. Now you're out, and you'll stay out. As for me, I'm not chasing love. I'm in my 50s. I've got a loyal dog, a good life, and a son I'm proud of. When the time's right, I'll hand over the business to Ron, and that'll be enough for me.